Yes, of course there are issues and challenges to overcome, but I think we take the view that having seen a change in government, having removed the previous government and the Sri Lankan people having voted an alternative in, we have to work with the new administration to try and secure the things that we believe are necessary. That seems to be the only constructive role the United Kingdom can sensibly play at this moment in time. On the one hand, supporting the international investigation, on the other hand, really trying to encourage the new administration to sort out a long-term solution, and that's very much what the Foreign Office is trying to achieve and what Hugo Swire is out there to try and achieve.
An incredible privilege to represent your community. I'm standing in front of this banner which contains the appalling statistic of the number of people estimated to have lost their lives in the conflict. And we all work within our parties raising this issue with colleagues who maybe don't have a Tamil community in the constituency, and that has ultimately led to our government, to our Prime Minister, being the first world leader to visit the north of Sri Lanka and to bring the spotlight of the world's media attention to the terrible injustices that have been perpetrated on the Tamil community. That is your achievement. That has happened because you have campaigned. You have brought this issue to the attention of British parliamentarians, and we have done our job and raised that with colleagues. So I want to congratulate you.
Well, there must be an independent international process to look into the atrocities and crimes against humanity that were committed during the conflict. There must be a commitment to self-determination for the Tamil people, and we expect to see the new government take action in terms of change within Sri Lanka. There were some who will be arguing for a honeymoon period, but what we believe is essential, this is actually a window of opportunity for the new government to show that things are going to be different. So there has to be internal change within Sri Lanka in terms of a negotiated political process and settlement, but there also has to be cooperation with the international community in terms of dealing with the horrors and the traumas of the past.
And I believe that it is my duty to help and support other nations that have suffered from genocide. And I believe that the Tamils have suffered from genocide, and that genocide should be recognised internationally. First, the need for the government recognition of war crimes and a show of willingness for investigation. The need to introduce safer regulations for journalists and investigators. And finally, the absolute necessity of scrapping a repressive act which contributes to the ongoing oppression of the Tamil community. And ladies and gentlemen, as I look behind me and read of the 146,679 missing, I say, Je suis Tamil. The Tamils deserve the recognition of the genocide of their people. They deserve the right of self-determination, and they deserve the right to be treated equally before the law.
The British government's got to make absolutely clear to the new government in Colombo that they have to cooperate with the UN international independent investigation into war crimes allegations during the Civil War. That is absolutely the only way that the Colombo government can rebuild the trust. Under the previous government, there was no trust. Not only had they conducted the war in the way they did, but there was no attempt to rehabilitate and to offer peace and for reconciliation. There are so many thousands, tens of thousands, nearly 147,000 people who are unaccounted for. The only way you can rebuild trust both with the Tamil people and frankly the international community is if they cooperate with the UN investigation. That is the key test, and if they don't, I'm afraid they will not be able to be taken seriously.
It's still very important to have a proper investigation into violations of human rights and war crimes in relation to the conflict. That's something that it's crucial that all these matters are properly investigated because of the terrible tragedies that occurred during the conflict, particularly in its closing weeks. I'll continue to support the work of the Tamil community in Britain. They've done a fantastic job in highlighting their grave concerns about the injustices done to Tamils over over many years. That's one of the reasons why I'm here, to show my strong support for British Tamils, but also for that much needed, proper, fair, negotiated settlement in Sri Lanka.
I have a very strong working relationship with the Tamil community in the area that I represent. We have a very positive relationship, and I want to see that sort of relationship developing between the Sri Lankan government and the British government. And what that will provide is an opportunity, I hope, for the British government to encourage the Sri Lankan government to look at some of the issues which the Tamil people want investigated so desperately, the concerns they have about the genocide that took place during the war in Sri Lanka, and also to ensure that the international investigation takes place so that there's a proper inquiry into that to see whether, for instance, war crimes were committed, and if that is the case, that those who are responsible are brought to justice.
Vanakkam. On behalf of myself, on behalf of members of Parliament, we owe the Tamil community an apology. And that apology is for, we are now trying to get justice for those who lost their lives. We should have tried harder to make sure those people did not lose their lives. We should have done more. We must get justice for innocent people who were murdered and killed in a genocide. We have to get that justice, and I pledge, together with colleagues from across the political divide, we will continue until we do get that justice and those that committed the crimes are held accountable. It is simply now my role to welcome you, to wish you a lovely evening, and to wish everyone Nandini. Thank you very much.
First of all, I want to celebrate the contribution of British Tamils to our country. Across every walk of life, from the arts to business to the economy, you make an extraordinary contribution. I'm proud of the Labour Party's relationship with British Tamils, and I'm proud of the contribution that British Tamils make to our country. And I am very clear. Only a full and transparent, independent, international investigation into allegations of war crimes can be the first step towards satisfying and allaying the deep hurt and grievances of Tamils in Britain and around the world. That is the Labour Party's position. That will remain our position in opposition and into government, and that is the investigation that we want to see happen. I'm proud of the relationship that the Labour Party has with British Tamils. I look forward to that relationship going from strength to strength in the years ahead.
And I'm calling for international investigation through the UN, carried out by the United Nations, into the ongoing genocide against the Tamil people in Sri Lanka, a genocide which has been there since the end of the Second World War, which has heightened in recent years, and a people that are still being abused and victimised by the state. And I call on the United Nations to instigate such an international inquiry and run one immediately.